Good evening, or good morning, I should say, everybody. I guess this is what happens when you sleep in, I guess, way one too many times. I am Cade Kennedy here with a special early edition of the Guys Who Stared Stats. Joined with me, of course, is Andrew Santangelo. One day left until the school year starts here at Northwestern, and I guess this is the, final show before the school semester starts. So, Andrew, as always, Sunday morning, a little bit different timing. Question still remains: how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Got up, went to church, walked my dog. So solid, easy morning so far, and ready to talk about some sports. And then excited to watch the final game of the Phillies Mets this afternoon and see if the Phillies can steal that series.
There you go. Got to get that series win. I'm in the same way with the Cardinals taking on the Brewers. Had a painful loss yesterday where, Wainwright goes 9 innings, won one game, still can't get the job done in extra innings. But I want to get into it with something a little bit different. The NBA scheduling has come out a little bit, slowly starting to roll in, I guess I should say. But the opening night has been scheduled. The ring ceremony has been scheduled. It will be Lakers at Warriors October 18th. So it always feels like the NBA season keeps creeping up just a little bit, slowly getting into mid-October now.
Yeah, basically, give or take a few days. You're basically 2 months on the dot away from October 18th. Obviously, today's August 14th, so only 4 days away from being 2 months. But it's crazy how quickly the season comes up. Feels like it starts earlier and earlier every year. I remember, man, it's a while ago. This would have been back when the Sixers traded for Andrew Bynum. It would have been like the start of the process years. Back in 2012, but opening night, the Sixers were home that year. It was Halloween. I remember it was pretty cool. Your home openers on Halloween and stuff, and now it's October 18th. So it seems like the seasons continue to just start a little bit earlier each year, and somehow it always seems like it ends later too. It doesn't ever seem like it ends earlier, but schedule's out, or part of it's out. You got some Christmas games released, and then of course you have this ring ceremony night there for the Warriors. We'll see how well that goes. Obviously, depending on the Lakers' health, we could be in for a fantastic game or we could be in for a 30-point blowout. So, obviously, we won't know that till October 18th, who's going to be playing that night for the Lakers. But, no, potential there in that game.
There absolutely is a lot of potential. Like you said, I remember, being excited. Oh, it's November. I can't wait to see what the Mavs do. And now it's mid-October. I'm trying to watch football, but this is nice, I guess. I always love the little Twitter replies. Someone saying this is a W, someone saying basketball isn't a sport. You always got the most random replies going on. But another schedule update for the NBA would be Memphis Golden State is going to be a Christmas Day game on the NBA's schedule this year, as well as Lakers at Dallas. So the Lakers, as always, getting their love. Got to put LeBron in the big-time game. Got to put the Lakers in the big-time game. But interesting seeing, Dallas and Memphis and some of those teams getting shots.
Hey, I guess a shout out to those younger players that are starting to perform. You have John Morant, one of the most fun players to watch in the league right now, especially with his age. Obviously, we saw him going back and forth with, I forget which player it was in the offseason, so some stuff there going on. So we'll see. It creates some dynamic there on Christmas. And then obviously Luka and LeBron, just a fun story there. A younger Luka continuing to carry a Mavs team. And then obviously LeBron, we'll see where he's at that point in the season. But I thought it was interesting to say. They asked Draymond about it yesterday, and he said Ja Morant reminds him the most of himself. I don't understand that comparison.
I don't either.
But whatever Draymond Green wants to say, there. So we got two Draymond Greens going that game apparently.
I guess so. Can the world handle that much Draymond Green? I don't know. I don't know if it can.
I don't think an arena can hold that much Draymond.
It is at Golden State, so I guess they would be built for it more. I don't know. But that should be a fun game. And I guess it's also funny because that's one of the few rivalries, I guess, in the NBA right now, if you want to call it one, Memphis and Golden State, with how the last two playoff series have gone.
Yeah, especially last year because you had all the trash talk where Morant doesn't get hurt. They might beat Golden State, and then Golden State's not the champion. So Golden State is going to be looking to prove something. Memphis obviously wants to prove something on the road. And, I mean, at that point, you're going to be Christmas Day, so you're basically going to be you'll be 2 full months into the season at that point. And obviously, there's still be a lot to play for, but we'll be interested to see where they're at in the standings, if they're fighting for the 1 spot or something like that in the Western Conference. So it's going to be a fun game. That's going to be one to definitely. I mean, obviously, Christmas Day always won the circle for NBA, but if that was a non-Christmas Day game, it's always won the circle.
Absolutely. And then I've got a little bit of basketball and football combined drama here. I know we've talked about this off the show before, but Mark Stoops and John Calipari have had quite possibly one of the weirdest drama situations I've ever seen get aired out in public, where I believe the situation was John Calipari is wanting a new facility for the basketball team, and he said something along the lines, this is Kentucky, we're a basketball school first. Mark Stoops responds saying, well, we are in the SEC. That is a football conference. And, we did just win 10 games in football. We've been trying to build this program up for a while now, but look at some of the quotes from Mark Stoops' press conference yesterday. He said, I don't care about anyone's program or others that we compete against. I stay in my lane. But when you start talking about mine and people I compete against, I'm going to defend my players. Don't demean or distract from what we've done to get to this point. I don't need to apologize for that, and I won't. So obviously a little bit of animosity, I guess, between the football and basketball programs there. Of course, Auburn got in a fun shot. They had their coaches take a picture together and talk about, we love being one big family here at Auburn. So everyone kind of getting their shots in on Kentucky here. But, Andrew, what do you think of the whole situation here? Is this kind of normal to have this divide, or is this something we don't really see often?
No, I think it's far from normal. I mean, I really don't think you see it, especially out in the public. Maybe stuff happens behind closed doors.
And that's kind of what I'm more getting at.
We don't see, but I really don't think, though, that you're going to get much of this behind doors. I mean, maybe in, meetings you might obviously have, okay, no, we need this new facility this year, but we got this one more recent. But you might get like that, but no, I don't think in the meetings you're like, well, no, we need a new football facility because we're a football school. Or we need a new basketball facility because we're a basketball school. I don't think that's that, and I think that's where he took offense to it. Not only does he just call it a basketball school, but he mentions football as well. So I think that, he kind of directly mentions football in his press conference. Calipari did, so I think that's where he took offense to it. And no, I think it's far from normal. Especially, you think about it, these guys probably see each other almost every day. Especially during the seasons. Think about when basketball and football are going on at the same time toward the end, and you don't want a hiccup, or you don't want drama. You want the football team out there and Mark Stoops supporting your basketball team. You want John Calipari and the basketball team out there supporting football. And you know what this makes of it? We're still, a month away from college football, and we obviously did our preview, and you get the non-conference games usually first. So you're probably about a month and a half away from, conference games. You don't think all the other schools, and especially the fan bases, are going to have fun with this? I can't imagine now. Kentucky's going to go on the road to, I don't remember who the first conference opponent is or something like that, or the first big conference game on the road. And you don't think the student section is going to have fun with this now? That's the other thing you're going to cause. You're going to create some chaos there in the fan bases as well. So no, I think you don't see this too often, and it's a shame it had to come with this because since Mark Stoops got there, he's done nothing but kind of turn that football team around and put them on the map.
I agree. It's just ridiculous to me why they're even having this divide. You would think when you have both programs going well, everything would be going great. But I did see another former Kentucky player who got into it with someone who's like, well, don't lose to St. Peter's then. It's like, hey, we didn't lose to St. Peter's. We don't lose to teams like that. What are you guys doing? So this whole back and forth, I think, is going to continue for a few more days until it finally settles down. But like you said, Andrew, this is just absolute material for everybody.
Exactly.
Everyone's got a new shot they want to say. You can further amplify, well, Kentucky is just a basketball school. Here's their coach saying they're a basketball school. And then, you can try to twist it as, well, some of these other sports don't matter. Why would you want to go there? They only care about basketball, which 5 years ago I would probably say that's still true when Mark Stoops is trying to build up that program. But when you look and see where they've gotten, everything should be going better for them. And especially if they could take a turn this year, get another 10-win season, we've got to start thinking about Kentucky's football program and taking it a bit more seriously.
And we talked about the hope of Kentucky playing well this year and everything. I'm trying to see. So the first road game September 10th at Florida. I forgot they had that early SEC game. But you're going to tell me, like, at Florida and at Ole Miss on October 1st, they're the first two road games. You're going to tell me there's not going to be some fun there in those two fan bases?
Oh, there absolutely
Actually,
will
they got
be.
so many big games on the road. I forgot about it. They got at Florida, at Ole Miss, at Tennessee. So, I mean, there's gonna be some fun there.
There absolutely will be. It's going to be fun to see for sure. But I guess that perfectly transitions us into football because the preseason is officially here. No more just Hall of Fame weekend and you get one preseason game. Now everybody's in action. I don't know how much of the preseason games you've been watching with baseball going on. Obviously, this being, just one of the busiest weekends of the year working for Northwestern here. But some absolutely good games, and I always find this interesting because it's the only time of the year where teams don't actively try to win. You're just trying to see how good your team is, and occasionally you get some miraculous play to come out of it.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch a whole lot. One, like you said, with the busy weekend this weekend, too. I always try not to take too much away from preseason. Like, of course, I'll catch all the Eagles games just because the Eagles, I want to see what their draft picks might have. But, I mean, that was a good game. I watched a little bit of Jacksonville just because Doug Peterson now there intrigues me, how he can turn, maybe get them going quicker with Trevor Lawrence. That dynamic out there seems fun, especially, I mean, that division always seems winnable. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I'm not picking Jacksonville to win that division, but you look at
that'd be one heck of a turnaround there.
You look at the other teams in that division, though. I mean, Houston's not going to be too good. Obviously, Indianapolis should be pretty good with Matt Ryan and everything. And why am I blanking on the fourth team? I think they always compete. Oh, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee will be obviously pretty good.
It's amazing how that works.
But, I mean, you think about it. You get Houston. That could be 2 wins for you there. So, I mean, I'm interested to see how Doug Peterson can do out there in Jacksonville with a young group like that. So that was a storyline. Obviously, you had the Deshaun Watson thing still going on. He's able to play in that game, so that's another reason why that game kind of intrigued me a little bit, just to see how he looked, which I was surprised. Like, if he's getting suspended, you might as well not let him play preseason, but what do I know? So there's a lot of solid games. I tuned into a couple, I mean, just for a little bit, but like you said, it's more about seeing the young guys. So once some of the starters get pulled, I kind of lose interest in some of the games.
Yeah, I do want to hit a few highlights here of the preseason, just some interesting debuts, one of which being the Titans and the Ravens. Why is this game intriguing? Well, it was the debut of Malik Willis. We got to see him in his first action, going 6 for 11, 107 yards. He got a rushing TD. Ravens get a 23-10 win here, and all seems quiet so far. I mean, Justin Tucker got to do his thing. He got 3 field goals
and he got paid.
In the game. He did get paid. He got his giant extension. But the Tyler Huntley going 16 for 18, 110 yards just in the first half alone for Baltimore. Everything seems to be going well for them. When your backups can beat the other backups, that's always a good sign.
Yeah, especially when it's two good teams. Shows you got a little bit more depth there than Tennessee possibly, especially the way the outcome goes. And the other thing you like is you win the first quarter, so that means the starters played better than their starters as well. So, intriguing there. Intriguing debut for the Baltimore Ravens for the 2022 season.
And then the other game, I know we talked about it already a little bit, the Browns and the Jags. This did not go how I expected in the first quarter. This is Deshaun Watson's time before he gets suspended. And he comes in his first 2 drives and goes 1 for 5 and really does not look that great. You had the Jacksonville crowd, of course, chanting at him and saying things that I can't repeat on this show. But Jags win that first quarter 6-0, and it's 14-13 going into halftime. Incoming Josh Dobbs, he goes 10 for 13, 108, and a touchdown. So Jacoby Brissett, Josh Dobbs, you're going to have that whole situation. Brissett's going to be the starter for the Browns once the suspension kicks in, and who knows how long that suspension's going to even go. And then for the Jags, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, 6 for 12, 95 yards, gets a TD. ETN, 9 carries, 23 yards. You basically got 2 of the best players in Clemson history on your team, so hopefully everything goes well for them. But 0-2 start for the preseason, but like you said, Andrew, that means absolutely nothing. It's the preseason.
Yeah, and of course I'm going to pull the Eagles here, but I think the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they were like 0-4 in preseason. It was before they switched it down to 3 games. But, no, I want to ask you this, too. I don't want to get too much into it because I hate kind of talking about someone's apology too much. But did you find Watson's apology kind of weird? I don't know if you got to see it. My thought process was, I mean, obviously, okay, it's good you finally apologized. But you've had how many months now to apologize, and you choose right before you're about to step on the field? Like, does that not scream, oh, I'm just apologizing so I can try to clear my name before I get on the field? Like, I don't know. Like, you could at least apologize. Like, before your first game back. To me, that's where that screamed.
Yeah,
but,
I would think, but
my thing, too, is Watson. I mean, 1 for 5, you mentioned it. I think, I mean, you think about it, he hasn't played in over a year, so I think he's got to shake some rust off, and that's what's interesting here. He's thinking about he's going to play his couple of preseason games, start to shake some rust off, and then he's going to get benched for, right now I think it's, 8 games, I think
it's
six games,
yeah.
but the NFL is trying to expand it to a full year. So that'd be kind of funny in its own way. Oh, let me finally get the rust off my pads, and then all of a sudden suspended for a full season, or at least 6 games, depending on what's settled. But so yeah, interesting there for Deshaun Watson.
It is, and I agree with you. I think it's more of a trying to save face, which I don't know if you can do that at this point with 24 accusations. I would think if you apologized, the best time to do it would have been after the first one, not after 24. But I'm not him, so I can't to know what's going on in his mind, but what I can tell you is he had the worst performance of any of the Browns quarterbacks. Josh Rosen played better than him. Everyone played better than him. Even C.J. Beathard played better than him on the Jags side. Just not a good day to be Deshaun Watson, I guess.
No.
And then one more to get to from the, I guess, Saturday afternoon or Friday afternoon games, I should say. The Packers and the 49ers, a rematch of last year's playoff game, and this was a lot of fun. You got to see Jordan Love play. You got to see Trey Lance. You got to see a lot of the younger future players here. Aaron Rodgers dressed up as a coach was weird to see, but I guess that's what happens in the preseason. But Jordan Love continuing to kind of prove what we all think of him with the Packers. 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, not the best showing in the world. And for Trey Lance, I thought he looked pretty good, which is surprising considering how much of a storyline that was last year. Trey Lance versus Jimmy G, which do you go with? And Lance, I mean, he has the job solidified now, and he looked good.
Yeah, I mean, you get to ease off, take some pressure off when you're given the job like that, as you mentioned. And, I mean, I think Trey Lance is in for a pretty good year. I'm not the biggest Jimmy Garoppolo fan, so, I mean, I think he'll be moved. Obviously, he's a good backup, but, I mean, you don't wish an injury upon anybody, but for some reason, every preseason brings one, it seems like. And so, I think a team's going to try to go after him and trade for him and even try to just shore up their team right before there. So, no, I think San Francisco's in good shape there with 2 of those kind of quarterbacks. And Nate Sudfeld's not a bad backup either. I mean, you saw him play yesterday as well against Jordan Love, so some good numbers from there as well. So I think that's why 49ers do have the capability of being able to trade Garoppolo with another quarterback already set to be a good backup.
And our next game features the Jets and the Eagles. This had the unfortunate injury of Zach Wilson in it. He will be out for just a little bit. I remember seeing people thought it was going to be an ACL or something like that. It turned out to be not that serious, but still, anytime you get an injury in, the first or second drive of the game, never a good sign. But Jets hold on to get a 24-21 win here, but Philadelphia winning that first quarter 14-0 tells you pretty much all you need to know about the game.
Yeah, no, the Eagles look good to come out of the gate. Quick drive. Jalen Hurts goes 6 for 6 there on his opening drive, gets the Eagles into the end zone. Eagles' first-string defense gets an interception, gives them the ball back, and the Eagles score right away again. They go up 14-0, and then actually the offense didn't even come out for that second drive. So their Eagle stars played 1 series and we're done. But no, it was an intriguing day. Game got a little chippy for a preseason. Jalen Hurts took a shot out of bounds. I don't know if you saw that one. So some pushing and shoving going on there. And then, as you mentioned, Wilson goes down later. But luckily for him, I think I read 2 to 4 weeks. So maybe he misses week 1, worst case. But he's still questionable for that. So hopefully he's able to get back on the field for him and his team. But no, yeah, it was a little chippy for a preseason. A little too chippy for me watching a preseason game. I was like, let's take it back a notch, guys. I don't want anybody hurt.
Yeah, that's one where it's like, guys, it's August. Love the intensity. Can we please wait a month? But the next one here, the Panthers taking on the Commanders. Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold continuing to fight for that starting job. And, I mean, both quarterbacks had a solid day. Kind of the unexpected thing. Everyone thought, okay, one of them's going to play well, one of them wouldn't, whichever camp you're in, whether you think Baker or Darnold's better. But Baker comes out, he has a solid few drives. Darnold comes out, he gets a touchdown. So, interesting times for Carolina. People thought this would be the separator, but instead it keeps the quarterback competition going. And then for the Commanders, Carson Wentz is over there being Carson Wentz. That's about all I could say about that. He's exactly what you thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, to Carolina's credit, I mean, I guess maybe it is a quarterback competition. I keep finding it hard to believe if Baker.
I do too, but I mean that's the terminology we're using.
No, but that's what they keep telling us. But see, if it was a true quarterback competition, and this is where I'm going to challenge it. If it's a true quarterback competition, don't you think Baker's throwing more than 7 passes, and don't you think Darnold's throwing more than 3 passes? Like,
I would think.
Like if I'm sitting here like as an outsider, meaning not a Carolina fan, I'm sitting here like, man, if I'm a coach, I want Sam Darnold throwing 1 and 3, and I get it. There's 2 more preseason games, but like I need Darnold throwing 1 and 3 passes to sit here and say, you know what, you're my starting quarterback. But
yeah,
I mean,
instead almost everything going to P.J. Walker and Matt Corral late in the game, which you'd expect. Get your other quarterback some time, but
that's still the weirdest thing to me that they traded all that for Matt Corral just to trade for Baker Mayfield later.
Yeah.
But no, I like Sam Howell. He didn't look too bad. Carson Wentz, he didn't look too bad. I mean, 10 and 13, that's pretty good numbers. Quarterback rating of 89. A lot of short passes for Wentz, but we'll see what they're able to do. I mean, tough part on Wentz and Howell is, I mean, that team's got nobody. Like, you look at the receivers. I mean,
yeah,
I get they pull players, but like, can you how many fans can actually name me some of those guys?
Yeah.
Outside of Terry McLean and probably I think J.D. McKinsick.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the list, it's just kind of a good old list of who that person exists. I guess good for them. That's
So,
about all I could say.
Washington's in for a long year.
They absolutely are. But the NFC East will continue to be comedic. That's all I could say with them. Moving on to the next one, the Seahawks and the Steelers. A bit of a quarterback competition for both sides here. Seattle, it's Drew Lock or Geno Wilson. For the Steelers, do you go with Mason Rudolph? Do you go with Mitch Trubisky? Does Kenny Pickett somehow steal his way in there and shock everybody? But Kenny Pickett really coming out having the game he needed to have. 13 for 15, 95 yards, 2 TDs, including the game winner. And, I mean, this is one of those weird ones where no one really played terrible quarterback-wise. You look at all 5 quarterbacks, they all have a rating over 85. So no one played horrible here.
Yeah, this is a high-scoring game for preseason. I mean, you look at all the other scores are like low 20s, high teens, especially when you start getting to those backups kind of. And, yeah, these quarterbacks went out and played. Kenny Pickett, I mean, he played phenomenal, getting those 2 touchdowns. Mason Rudolph didn't look bad himself. So no, I think it's gonna be an interesting battle. I don't know what if I'd do with Pittsburgh. To me, it seems like the way they're portraying it, they don't want to go out with a rookie quarterback. Like, to me, Kenny Pickett's good enough to at least try, but to me, it doesn't seem like they want to do that, right? I don't know if you're getting a different vibe, but to me, they want to go with Mason or Mitch. So I don't know. I'm not a Mitch guy, so I'd probably go Mason over Mitch, but I'd probably go Kenny over Mason. But to me, it doesn't seem like they want a rookie out there. So then I'm going Mason in that case.
Yeah, I think the whole strategy is you let Pickett sit for a year or two and learn, but he's going to be better than both of those quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's not like you have Aaron Rodgers there, like blocking Jordan Love or something.
Yeah, it's not like you've got, some amazing thing going on. That's how the Steelers are. If they can run the ball and be good at defense, it doesn't matter who their quarterback is. They're going to find a way to get 8 or 9 wins. You could put a rock back there at quarterback and play with 10 guys, and they'd still find a way. That's just how the Steelers are. That's how Tomlin's teams are. That's just what they do. But looking at the Seattle side, almost identical stat lines from Drew Lock and Geno Smith. 11 for 15, 10 for 15. 102 yards, 101 yards. The main difference being Drew Lock getting those 2 touchdown passes, Geno Smith not getting any, but Seahawks able to get the ball running a little bit. Travis Homer, 4 carries, 41 yards. DJ Dallas, 10 carries, 73 yards. Steelers able to do it too. Anthony McFarland Jr., 7 carries for 56 yards. Everything seemed to go well. And as someone who I know I've talked about, I enjoy offense. I'm glad to have games like this. Give me crazier preseason games.
Yeah, Seattle's an interesting team this year. I don't know what they're going to do locksmith. I think that really could be an up down the stretch battle there. I think it's funny that there's 2 touchdowns due for your quarterback rating. I mean, like you said, their stats are basically similar outside their touchdowns, and then Drew Lock's quarterback rating is about 46 points higher.
Yeah.
And then you lose Chris Carson right before the year. You expect to have him. Obviously, he's going through some health stuff, so hopefully he's okay, but he's forced an early retirement. I mean, DJ Dallas showed signs last year, but, I mean, again, you weren't prepared for that, is my point. So Seattle's an interesting team. You mentioned Pittsburgh's defense, and that's what's funny about this being high-scoring too. Well, Seattle's defense is usually the ones keeping them in games as well. So, I mean, you had two defensive teams here, 2 interesting teams. You don't know what they're doing whole team-wise and where they're going to go from there. But, no, yeah, I'm interested to see how both these teams do.
That's always how this seems to work. Oh, these are 2 good defenses, and so, of course, it's 32-25. That's always how it seems to work. But that is enough football for now. It is time to move over to a little bit of baseball, recapping the main reason we weren't here Thursday. It's the Field of Dreams game, one of the best games in baseball that they decided to start doing last year, continuing it again this year. The Cubs taking on the Reds. Cubs striking early and often, getting 3 runs in the first inning, and able to just get some insurance in the 4th and pretty much ride this one out to a 4-2 win.
Yeah, another great job putting this display on for the Field of Dreams game. It's always fun. They did a good job with it in year 1, and then they did a good job with it here this year. It's a shame they can't do it next year with the construction going on there or something. So I think they're hoping to get it back in 2024. So everybody's going to be looking forward to that. Listen, I mean, everyone keeps making fun of the Reds for coming out sluggish and stuff, but in reality, they just couldn't get the job done. I mean, they had base runners throughout the whole game. I think they answered with 2nd and 3rd in the bottom half of the 1st. They just couldn't get the runners across. And end the game with 7 hits. So, I mean, it wasn't like the Reds were out there not getting base runners and just got shut down the whole game. Cubs just found a way out of it. And, I mean, it was 4-2. It was a close game most of the way. I mean, was it the most exciting baseball game? Obviously not. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that. But I didn't think it was overall a bad baseball game. Yeah, the Reds had chances. They just couldn't get the job done. And it's also MLB's fault. I mean, everybody knew these 2 teams were going to be bad coming into the year. I mean, you could at least did Cardinals-Cubs, that kind of rivalry. You could have did, I mean, Cardinals-Brewers. Everyone knew those. I mean, everyone who knows baseball knew those teams were going to be the ones fighting for the division in the end of the season. So if you wanted an NL Central game, you could have did that. So I don't know. I don't know the reasoning. Maybe it was the Ken Griffey, obviously him and his dad come out. So maybe that was the reason behind the Reds and everything. So, but, I mean, team-wise, you knew these 2 teams were going to be where they at. So, I mean, that's on the MLB for choosing those 2 kind of teams.
Yeah, and that's the only knock I really have against it. When I saw it at the beginning, there's like, really? The Cubs and the Reds? Like, you might as well make it, like the Pirates or something. Like, if you're going to do 2 teams that are not going to be good, give me, like, the 2 most exciting, terrible teams. Or, give me something crazy, I guess.
Well, that's the thing. You could have just created rivalries here. Like,
yeah.
I mean, who was it last? White Sox, Yankees, right?
Yeah.
So, like,
that's historic. The White Sox tie with it.
Well, I was going to say, maybe you didn't want to go White Sox twice. But, like, Chicago would have been a better storyline than Chicago-Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. And, again, you have plenty of rivalries. Like, I get it. I mean, not much Field of Dreams tied to it. But, I mean, this, to me, really didn't have much Field of Dreams tied to it. I mean, this is, I don't so you could have did. I mean, think about the story: Boston versus Yankees, like Red Sox Yankees, that kind of rivalry in there. Yeah. I mean, and that's what I hope for in 2024 is you put like true big rivalries there, because I mean, again, Cubs Cardinals are bigger than Cubs Reds. Reds, I think their biggest rival is probably Milwaukee or Pittsburgh, maybe. So I mean, again, you could have chose better teams there, but
I mean, I don't understand why they would do it, but. The other thing is, I've got to get to it. The most pressing issue from this, CGI Harry Carey, what is your opinion? This was apparently the talk of the town for some people, with having Harry Carey come back to life, creating like a copy of him basically, and having him do Take Me Out to the Ball Game. And then they built it up for like half the broadcast, and they showed him for 5 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a cool twist. You're trying to create that that dynamic there. I thought that was did it succeed as well as they wanted it to? Maybe not, but I thought it was a good attempt and everything, and especially with where that game was at, it was trying to stir some things up. And hey, Cincinnati got two runs in that 7th inning, so maybe we can credit that to Cincinnati's runs.
Maybe.
But my other thing too here is when you pick teams like that too, try to do it before the deadline maybe. Cause think about like if the Cubs would end up trading Happ and Contreras too. I mean, think about how much worse that game would have been.
Yes.
Reds obviously traded Brandon Drury, Luis Castillo. So even the guys that were there that could have made that game even more fun were moved at the deadline. I mean, Cubs obviously lost some pieces too. So that's another maybe thing is maybe go before the deadline. That way, if you do end up having 2 bad teams, you don't lose those quote unquote stars yet.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
One final question I have for you with obviously no Field of Dreams game next year. There have been talks about maybe doing some other movie-themed games. I know there was the ballpark for A League of Their Own is getting renovated. There have been talks about putting a game at that ballpark. Would that be something you would be interested in, or is it more of okay, we have the one, we don't need to make every baseball movie get its own special game?
I would never do more than one in a season, but I think for a fill-in, you can make it work. If it's that, you could, I mean, think about how fun it would be if they found a way to do a Sandlot game. I mean, that would be pretty cool. I don't know how in the world you'd make that work. But, I mean, that would be cool if they somehow did that. Or even if they go back to the, before they did the Field of Dreams games. I don't think they do it anymore, correct me if I'm wrong, but they did the Little League game in Williamsport.
They did, yes.
I think that was always a cool touch. You had the players interacting with some of those Little League players and everything in the World Series. So I think maybe you go back to that for a season. Cause I don't think they do it. Maybe they do it at the end of August. I don't know.
No, I don't think they do it.
I think they
replace
it. So I think maybe you go back to that. I think it would be a mistake with how well it's done to not do anything, whether it's League of Your Own, whether it's a Little League game. There's stuff out there you can find. Even if it's just 1 year, go overseas and play a series. I mean, obviously, you want to go over and play more than one game if you're going across country, but go play a series over there. I think it benefits baseball. I think it's the best thing they really do with this whole, with Rob Manfred and stuff. I mean, I know we've joked about how bad it's been, but I mean, this is something they always get right. I mean, they had the fun, again, the Little League World Series, you had the fun and the nicknames on the back of the jerseys. That was an interesting dynamic. You know, it was fun for the players and the young guys in the Little League World Series for them to interact and have that nickname kind of tie thing. So I thought that was cool. And so yeah, no, I think it'd be a mistake if they don't fill it in, whether it's a one-game thing like the Field of Dreams or if it's a series maybe across seas somewhere. But, no, I think they need to do something.
Well, I know they're doing the international thing again next year. Cubs-Cardinals is going to take a series in London, so that'll be fun to see, even though we've already done that once before. It was like, okay, we've done Yankees-Red Sox in London. We've done Cubs-Cardinals in London. Now we're doing Cubs-Cardinals again. So that'll be fun to see. I wonder if – I think it'd be interesting, put the Angels back in Japan or something like that. Let Ohtani go home for a series, see what happens. I think that'd be an interesting storyline.
That would be. I mean, that would be pretty cool. I would be a very neat twist. But, I mean, again, you look around sports, they all have that. I mean, football, obviously, they got the Jaguars go overseas. NHL does the Winter Classic. They have the fun in that. I guess basketball might not do anything.
Well, they do the thing where I think Miami's playing some games in Mexico this year.
There you go. They're doing that.
Canada exists.
So,
I mean, good for the Raptors.
And so, I mean, there's options. So that they need to do something. They need to fill it in, or else you're going to miss it for the season. And again, there's plenty of movies out there. You can find something. I mean, it's not like you got to scratch and dig hard. Again, it's going to create some type of creativity, but find a way to get the Sandlot. I mean, that'd be so much. They integrated it into MLB The Show. I mean, they have the Sandlot in there now. So, I mean, there's got to be a way.
I did see someone pointed out an idea one time of, like, if you want to do another Field of Dreams game, you could have the Dodgers and the Giants show up as Brooklyn versus New York, which I think that'd be awesome. That would be interesting to see. But at that point, it was like, well, I don't know. Put that game in New York then. Like, create the Polo Grounds. Build a mini Polo Grounds for one game or something. I don't know. Have something fun. That's all I can say at the end of the day. You have fun with it. You get a good product. You get a game people want to see. Even people who don't care about baseball want to see because they remember the movie. And I think the MLB does a pretty good job at this. But that takes us into the final thing. Once again, checking up on the MLB standings. Yankees still have that 10-game lead they're holding on to over the Blue Jays. The Guardians still trying to squeak away now, 1.5 games above the Twins. The Twins just continue to fall down, and the White Sox are trying to catch them now. 2.5 games behind the Guardians, 1 game behind the Twins. And the AL West, it's Houston with that commanding 12-game lead they have over the Mariners that no matter what Seattle does, they cannot budge. They cannot get a dent into that darn gap. You look at the National League, the Mets, that lead is slowly shrinking. It's down to 5.5. Phillies are 5.5 or 5 behind the Braves. Everything just going well there for all those teams, continuing to stay hot, play good baseball. Then the Marlins and Nationals are just kind of there, but oh well for them. You look at the NL Central, big game today at 1:15. Cardinals taking on the Brewers. Why is that so important? Well, the winner gets first place in the NL Central for the moment. Only half a game separating both teams there. The Cubs slowly trying to separate themselves from the Pirates and the Reds, just 3 games above both of those teams. And the Dodgers have now hit a 17-game lead over the Padres. And Fernando Tatis Jr. is out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, crazy. Crazy stuff happening. I'll tell you what. It's 10 games. I get it. That's a lot. But I want to watch that AL East race. Yankees, ever since the trade deadline, are really slowly falling apart.
Yeah, 2 of their last.
Are they going to lose it? Probably not. But I would not be surprised if Toronto makes it interesting. It gets it down to maybe a 3 to 5 range down in mid-September or something like that. I don't know. There's something about it. Like, you saw Yankees. I mean, they traded one of their starters. So now they have a hole in the rotation now. Yeah. They traded Jordan Montgomery, which was interesting. They traded Joey Gallo. I mean, I got it. I mean, so I don't know. There's whatever's happening in New York right now. I mean, obviously, it's not panic. It's not panicking, but I don't know. As a baseball fan, I'm intrigued to watch that stretch to see if Toronto's able to creep back into it a little bit more. AL Central, I mean, that's gonna be fun till the end. I mean, none of those 3 teams are gonna run away with it. Minnesota scares me though. Their clubhouse. There's the reports Carlos Correa is going to opt out of his contract at the end of this year, and he just signed in the offseason. So they're going to have that swirling around the clubhouse, being asked about that and everything. So I think that's going to create a dynamic. I think this division is going to come down to Cleveland and Chicago at this point, to be honest. And then, yeah, if you're a baseball fan, the 2 games to tune in today are – I mean, you can throw Yankees, Red Sox in, I guess, tonight if you want to because of that rivalry. But the 2 actual games to tune into that – the series have felt like a playoff series, and it's been fun. It's been the Mets, Phillies, and Cardinals, Brewers. Some of those pitching matchups. I mean, yesterday Aaron Nola versus Jacob deGrom, 1-0 final. I mean, Phillies lose, but that was a fun game to watch. 2 big time pitchers going after each other, and then you already mentioned it at the top of the show. Wainwright goes 9 innings. Should have been a complete game.
Yeah.
But goes 9 innings. Game goes to 10, so he throws 9, 1-run ball. Can't get the win there. I mean, that's the way Nola was. He went 8. I mean, the Phillies on the road, so 8 innings counts as a complete game. He can't get the win. He gets the loss in a 1-0 game. So, I mean, no, it's fun. Obviously, the NL Central battle gets the edge because that is not for you get 2 months left, but for first place right now. So, obviously, that one gets the edge today. I don't know if you know the pitching matchup there.
Well, let's just take a look.
Because obviously, yesterday, Corbin Burns, Adam Wainwright, those are the top-notch pitchers. But I mean, so today maybe get a little more scoring in today's games. Hopefully in that one.
Yeah, we've got Ashby versus Michaelis, so this could be an interesting one today.
Well, yeah, I mean, I give the edge to Miles, but I mean, again, 9 to 10 losses between the 2 pitchers, not the ideal scenario. How about that though? You're a first place team and you got a pitcher who's 2-10. Like, how in the world does that work?
That's just the NL Central, Andrew.
Like, that's just insane if you think about it. Like,
that's all I could say is that's just the NL Central. We're just built different, Andrew.
No, they are. But I don't know how much you look at the Dodgers starters. I was looking at their starting pitching the other day. They have 2 guys. They have one guy. Who was it? I think it's Tyler Anderson's 12-1, and then I can't remember who the other guy is, but he's 11-1. I'm like, imagine having 2 guys from your team combined for 22
I wish
2.
I had 2 guys that were that good. But my goodness, so many fun matchups to look at today. I do want to touch on one thing. We joked about it on the last show that ever since we've started the show, the Phillies and Cardinals mirror each other for some reason. And that is literally what has happened this entire series. We both won game 1. We both lost game 2 by 1 run. So I don't know what we need to do, Andrew, to get this to stop happening.
Right?
Or, I don't know, do we want this to keep happening if they both start winning, I guess? But
Wait, if they're winning, we need it to keep happening.
We gotta keep it going. But if they start losing, sacrifices are going to have to be made. I don't know what that's going to be. But
I mean, even just look at the run differential. Plus 76, plus 73. Obviously, it's not exact, but I mean, it's pretty close for two teams who have had an up and down season. It could be either way.
Yeah, if we could stop having the exact same team, that'd be pretty good for just 5 minutes. Except we did the opposite. You started slow and got hot. We started hot and then slowed down, and now here we are again. That's just what St. Louis does. It drives me crazy every single time. But the other thing I want to touch on, I know we talked about the AL East a little bit. Look out for the Orioles because they're 12 and a half games back. They're playing competitive with Tampa Bay. They still have, I believe, over 10 meetings left with Toronto.
That's crazy.
They can definitely change that entire division just like that. They're the hottest team in the last 10 games in the AL East. This might be a sneaky run by Baltimore. They've slowly been building it, and now we might see Baltimore and Seattle in the same AL wildcard race. Looking at it here, I mean, you could see it. The Orioles are half a game out from the Rays. The Mariners are that second card, and the Blue Jays have the top card by half a game. Look at the National League. It's the Braves, then the Phillies, then the Padres with the Brewers a game out. So the wild card race is absolutely here, and we might get two of the most lovable underdogs in the sport in the same wild card race on the American League side.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it all shakes out. I'll start with the NL. Phillies, Braves, if that ends there, I mean, that'd be a fun first-round playoff series because how it works this year, the new addition, they added a third wild card team. You get the top two wild card teams playing each other, and then the last wild card will play the worst division winner because of the first two will get a bye. So that's how that will work. So right now I think that'd be the winner of the NL Central would be the worst one. So that'd be the Padres versus the NL Central winner. Right now, obviously, the Cardinals. But here's my thing is I don't think the Padres make the playoffs. I think they were banking on Fernando Tatis coming back. I think that's going to be a mad drama in the clubhouse. I mean, I don't know how much you paid attention to all that, but, I mean, players were kind of taking shots at him left and right, and they're going to be continue to be. I mean, think about it. Say they drop their next 2 or 3 games. I mean, just picture the questions. Oh, how do you think Fernando Tatis, if he would have came back, how he would change the team and all that stuff? Because he was in the middle of his rehab assignments to get back at it, and they've been struggling as of late since the deadline. Obviously, they added Juan Soto and Josh Bell. Don't get me wrong; those are fantastic pickups. But in the end, they were banking on Fernando coming back. They didn't fill that spot. I mean, obviously they survived all year, and that's what the players are going to tell you. But deep down, I mean, that's a big loss, and they know it. So, I mean, and it's not like the Brewers got much ground to catch. Yeah, if I'm sitting here saying, oh, the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to pass them, then yeah, you can call me crazy. But, I mean, the Brewers are 1 game back. And, I mean, hypothetically, let's say, I mean, what's the Cardinals' record?
Cardinals are the 62 and 51. They're half a game above the Brewers.
So I think they're pretty much even with San Diego. So hypothetically, if the Brewers beat the Cardinals and the Padres lose, I think you got a tie there. I mean, that's all it takes is my point about San Diego possibly missing the playoffs there. So I wouldn't be surprised. But as far as the AL goes, no, I mean, no matter who gets in, I mean, I don't really care who gets in, to be honest. Like, all those teams are going to be fun. I mean, White Sox haven't really done much lately, obviously. Minnesota's a team that I always thought would be cool to see go far. I wish some of those Joe Mauer teams would have been better. Obviously, Baltimore's a great story. Seattle's a great story. If I had to pick one, I'd want to see miss it. It would just be Tampa Bay because they've been around for a little bit now. I mean, obviously making the World Series a few times and everything and winning the division there. But, I mean, no, I'd be all for Seattle. Well, I guess they want to play each other, but Seattle. I mean, imagine if it ends this way, Toronto, Tampa, Baltimore, and you get 4 AL East teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
And if you would have told me the Red Sox would be the one not to make it, I would have never believed you.
Yeah, you just got the Red Sox chilling with that 56 and 59 record. They're just in their own little world at the bottom of the AL East.
But here's the thing. I mean, four games isn't that much to make up. I mean, you still got it's not like there's 2 weeks left. I mean, I would not be shocked if we're sitting here next week saying Boston's only 2 back of that by next Thursday's show. It'd be a little quick for Tuesday's show, but
yeah, it'd be a little quick. But hey, you never know. That's baseball. That's all I can say. That is baseball. Weirder things have happened in this sport. But that will do it for today. We thank you for tuning in with us on this Sunday morning. I am still halfway asleep at times, which is not a good thing considering that school starts tomorrow. But hey, I'll deal with it when I deal with it. But we thank you for tuning in, as always. For Andrew Santangelo, I'm Cade Kennedy. If you enjoyed what you heard today, feel free to give us a follow here on Twitch at NWTV7 or subscribe to our YouTube channels, whether it be the NWTV7 channel or the Guys Who Stare at Stats. If you want to know when we go live, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. And until next time, have a good rest of your Sunday, everybody. And welcome back to college for everybody in the state of Oklahoma. I know OSU, OU start tomorrow. Obviously, Northwestern does. So for everyone seeing this, if you see it, if you're a student out there, have a good first week of school, everybody.